Hey there, it's me, Lottie, and today I'm just doing a casual vlog, chit-chat talk about something that I've been doing that is fun and tasty and goes into my Ancestry DNA work, just investigating more about who I am. So for Black History Month, I decided to investigate some of my ethnic background through food. I needed some new recipes anyway. You know, sometimes you get used to making the same things and then after a while you're like, oh, ho hum. I'm not really excited by any of those. So I had wanted to find some new recipes anyway. In my little bullet journal, I made a page for, this is my page. It's called Journey to Me, or Journey of Me. What does this say? Journey to the Journey to the Center of Self. And I have my Ancestry.com makeup right here, which is among other things. Now there's a lot on here, of course, and so I'm not going to get into all of them, but hopefully we will have vlogs about all of them. Anyway, I can just read these off. We have England and Northwestern Europe at 35%. So that's just like this big broad category. Like I'm going to have to unpack that one a bit. Nigeria, 16%. Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples is 13%. Wales, 9%. Mali, 7%. Ivory Coast and Ghana, 6%, Scotland, 6%, Ireland, 5%, and Germanic Europe, 3%. It's so interesting how this has changed over time. Like when I first got my Ancestry results, some of these were a lot higher. I guess as more data comes in, they're able to narrow it down or pinpoint it even more. So anyway, I decided to start with Nigeria, and for this week, I made a hibiscus drink called Zobo. It's a lot like Bissap or sorrel punch or agua de Jamaica or Sobolo. So those may be different versions of the same drink, or I don't know. Anyway, and we made peanut soup. So I'm going to head to the voiceover and kind of talk about how I made these. And this was just my first go round. So what I did was researched a whole bunch of recipes. A lot of my friends on Facebook sent me links to look at. And I looked at a bunch of YouTube videos and I pulled out something that I'm gonna have to do a separate shelf life video on because I forgot how much I love this book. Sundays at Moosewood. This was like my first vegetarian cookbook, and it has a lot of the sections in it of my ethnic background. So I'm going to be using this a bit. So hopefully for this month, this is Black History Month, so I'm focusing on my African heritage for this month. And probably we'll see how much we get through. Anyway, I'm trying to do something. I'm going to try to do one every weekend. Anyway, let me show you what I've cooked. So we are starting out making the Zobo, and I took a cup of hibiscus flowers. These are dried hibiscus flowers, and we added a couple of sticks of cinnamon to that, and some fresh ginger. I also added some elderberry, which that was my little personal twist on it. I thought that would be yummy. We added some nutmeg. This is not the African nutmeg, it's what I had on hand. And I had some orange peels, so we put that in there, as well as a few cloves. Now what I decided to do with the rest of the orange peel, since I had this extra orange peel, was to try making a orange infused syrup. And the way I'm going to try doing that is put my peels here in a small jar, and we're going to cover that with some organic sugar. And then you just let it sit for a long time. I also decided to add some lemon to my Zobo, and we're going to do the same thing. Cut off the peel, throw the peel in the pot, and come back and take the rest of our lemon peel and add it in with the sugar mixture. It'll slowly release the juices into the sugar, and it'll break down into a citrus infused syrup, which I hope to use for an upcoming beverage that is another Nigerian cocktail or mocktail. Now we're going to take these lemons and slice them up. I'm going to grab an orange here and add it to the mix as well. Now we're going to go on and process this fresh pineapple, which gave me an idea, because I don't usually have pineapples on hand, but I have been making a lot of vinegar. So since I had to process this and cut off the rind and cut off the top and the bottom, I decided to take my scraps and throw them in one of my vinegar making jars. Doesn't that sound good though, to make pineapple vinegar? With the rest of it, I cut it up. I cut the core out of the middle. It went into the vinegar jar as well. And then we added our fresh pineapple to the Zobo pot. And I added about a cup of brown sugar. You can use whatever sweetener you like, but I used brown sugar, and about 8 cups of filtered water. We're going to bring that to a simmer and just let it simmer for about 30 minutes while we make our groundnut stew. In the meantime, like I said, we're going to make some vinegar with our pineapple, and I snipped a little bit of sage and thyme in there with it. I thought that would be really good, like a herb infused pineapple vinegar. We're getting creative here. It's the same process I used for my apple cider vinegar. I added a 1/4 cup of organic sugar. We're going to give it a stir every day for the next 30 days. I'm going to put it in a dark place over in the corner of the counter and see what it does. Cover it with a coffee filter because you want the air to be able to circulate, and get in there for the fermentation process to happen. But I will take that off, like I said, every day and give it a stir. I am excited by this development. So after about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, we checked in on our Zobo. It is looking good. All of the goodness is starting to release into our brew, so we can get started on preparing our groundnut stew, which involves first cubing a sweet potato and just setting that aside while we get the rest of our stuff ready. I took about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil and put it over medium heat. And to that I added some diced onions, fresh ginger, and fresh garlic. While that was sauteing, we have some red bell pepper that I threw in the blender with a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. This is a technique I saw in quite a few videos. I'm using red pepper flakes. I don't have Scotch bonnet peppers on hand. I know these are nowhere near the heat of a Scotch bonnet pepper or the flavor, but it's what I have for this go round. I added some smoked paprika to this mix as well. And we're just going to blend that up until it's nice and smooth. And then we add it in with our onions. This sauce smells amazing. I really like this technique for bringing together a sauce with the peppers and the tomatoes blended together. And we're going to add a little more seasoning. We have some coriander. We're going to just sprinkle about a teaspoon of coriander. We have some ground cumin. And I think I did about a teaspoon of that as well. And white pepper, which was a good sized dash, probably a half a teaspoon. And I let that just simmer away for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then I added 2 cups of water to the mix, and we're going to add our sweet potatoes now. And they just need to simmer until they get tender. This sauce already tastes amazing. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? I think this looked so beautiful. I had such a good time preparing this food. After it has simmered until our sweet potatoes are nice and fork tender, it is time to add the star of the show, peanut butter. I added about a half a cup of peanut butter, maybe 3/4 of a cup. You can do it to taste. I mean, I wanted it to taste nutty. I didn't want it to be overwhelmingly sweet or sticky though. So I think I did about a half a cup or 3/4 of a cup. Stir that until it's nice and creamy. Now at this point, I am going to add some greens. I'm going to add what I have, but you can also use collard greens or kale, which would take a little longer to cook, so you would add it much earlier in the cooking process, probably with the sweet potatoes, when you first add the sweet potatoes. But I had arugula on hand, so I put it in at the end because I knew it really only needed to wilt a bit before it was ready to go. And that was it. I made a pot of rice. I made a nice pot of rice. And we were in business. So this is my peanut stew. I hit it on top with a little bit of cilantro. And I have strained, I put it in this, I'm recycling or reusing, right? I put it in this empty coconut milk container, but this is my Zobo, which I have strained, and I've had it warm. The first time I tried it warm, which was so soothing and delicious. Now, look at that. Let's try it out. I mean, I already know this is good, but for the vlog, I'm gonna do it for the vlog. This is so good. This is so good. I sweetened it with brown sugar. You could use any kind of sweetener. It's still very tart. I didn't make it that sweet. This is a winner. This will be at every holiday function. And then some. And then here's my Nigerian or West African groundnut or peanut butter stew. That is so good. It's not too spicy, which I could see it being a little spicier maybe. And it's just so delicious. The sweet potatoes are perfect. I do want to try it with kale or collard greens because I could see that, you know, really adding a nice flavor to it. I used arugula because that's what I had. I used what I had on hand. I am not mad. So anyway. That was delicious. This is fun. This is like inspiring me. And I love this way of connecting to who I am. Even though, you know, I can do more in the way of actual history and events that have taken place over time to understand more about my history, which I will do, but this is a good place to start, man. I'm motivated to learn, put it like that. So, okay. This is in my soul. This is in my soul. All right. If you have favorite Nigerian dishes or anything on that list, I guess. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I got to see where I'm going to go next with my edible ancestry. So if you have any favorite dishes that go along with any of those cultural ethnic areas, drop them below. I would love to look them up, explore them, maybe even cook them and eat them. Anyway, I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. And until I see you in the next video, take care.